Yeah. So welcome. Thank you so much for joining the FTC. I'm hoping that it's a really productive time for all of you. This one has been a little different because I'm seeing a lot of new people and some of the usual suspects are missing. As it's a nice change, and some of the usual suspects are here as well. I can see Rajiv smiling, but some are new. So it's a nice mix, but it's a lot many more new people than we've had in the past. I'll walk you through broadly how it works, what we do, and what are the things that we kind of work with. The first thing and the most important thing is the tracker. So actually, even before I jump into sharing screens, there's basically three or four things that will happen. The first is we'll meet every Sunday this time, and every Sunday when we meet, we will have a guest or we will have somebody who's written something, somebody who's we have Arundhati Subramaniam. She's won the Sahitya Academy Award 2 years ago, so she will be spending an hour with us and giving us but she's a poet and she's also a writer both, and she's been a journalist in a past life. So we have similarly we have Sahana, we have Nikhil, and we have one session where we have two editors. That was on a special request because some of our former participants said that since everybody's working on manuscripts, it'll be nice if we can figure out how to work with an editor independently before we actually approach a literary agent or a publisher. So that's the mix of the guests that we'll have for our Sunday sessions. In addition to the Sunday sessions, we will have this WhatsApp group. Some of you have opted out, so you are not there. In a couple of the cases, the numbers I have don't seem to show a WhatsApp. They don't seem to be WhatsApp numbers. So if you want to be part of the WhatsApp group, but you're not featuring anywhere, I'm just dropping my own number, personal number, in the chat. So just WhatsApp me on that number. Okay, give me your name, and I will add you to the WhatsApp group as well. Right. So that's the second layer. That's where a lot of the conversation and chatter happens. As far as the WhatsApp group is concerned, we have some strict rules. We try not to forward stuff randomly. Whatever we want to talk about should be related to writing. And if anybody posts a good morning message, I will remove you from the group. Well, I might just do that. But the basic idea is it's a group for writers. It's about writing. So let's stick with that core. And we will be doing things like word prompts. We will be talking about writing and structure and various things. Those conversations are welcome. Sometimes it gets a little overwhelming for me. I'm not a very WhatsApp kind of person, but a lot of people find real value in the WhatsApp conversation because it's not just regurgitated stuff, and there's a lot of personal experience that people share that goes on, and that is being shared here. The at the center of the entire thing is what we have, what we call the word tracker. So each one of you has set yourself a target. We don't comment on the target being too high or too low. I mean, if you're writing poetry, then even 5,000 words could be a very high target. If you're writing a novel, then maybe 20,000 is too low. So we're not getting into what is your genre and what is your, what is a good number. Unlike NaNoWriMo, where they say 50,000, we don't have a definition of this is what your target should be, because it's not necessarily a novel writing, forum. This is just a writing forum. Everybody writes what they want. Some people are only doing editing and they're not doing writing. Even you're welcome and you can set up whatever target. It's more about having the discipline of doing your work on an everyday basis. So that's really what it's about. What I'd like to do now is give you a quick glimpse of the tracker. And the reason I want to show you the tracker is because the tracker also becomes a means for you to find writing buddies or make writing groups. Okay. So for a few people, the forms haven't come through and you've emailed us directly and we've added you. So in your case, some of the information is missing. So I'll show you what the tracker looks like. I'll show you what is the information that has been provided on the tracker. The reason why we provide additional information is so that you can find out who is a good buddy for you, who's a good fit for you, right? Our request is do not go and edit anything except your own fields. Do not go and mess around with anybody else's data, because that would be, That would just confuse things. So let me show you the tracker now. Here we go. Okay. No, this is the wrong. Give me a minute. Yeah, here we are. Can you all see the screen?
Yeah.
All right. So what you can see here is the database. It is alphabetical. So please do not, sort the data. You'll notice that the first 3-4 columns are kept, are not editable. That is intentional because, that is intentional, and that is not something that we want people to edit. So if you want to make a change to that, you can let me know. This is a cut paste mostly from the form that you've sent to us. What you can edit is these fields, which is the actual date and the number of words that you write. So let's take an example of Shino. Shino, I don't know if you're here. I know Shino well. She's been in one of my workshops. So she set herself a goal of 15,000 words. She's wanting to write literary fiction. So whatever she writes on the 1st of December, she just needs to put that number here. So let's say she puts 345, and then the next day she puts 678. So that number will automatically get totaled up here. The formula is not there, so I'm going to add the formula, but that automatically gets totaled up. So we can see what is the total words written, and you can track your own progress vis-a-vis your target word count for that particular, for the work that you want to do. So it's like a tracker for you, but it's also visible to everyone else, and it's also visible to us. This is a mistake, looks like, sorry. I'm just leaving it as history fiction. I'm not sure if it was historical fiction. So this is how the group works. Now we encourage you, but we don't get into the process, but we encourage people to form writing groups or find writing buddies. So for that, it's probably a bad title called work samples. But this is kind of like an intro section for everybody where you can go and look at all the participants, and you'll see that all the names are listed in an alphabetical order again. There are a few names where we do not have any information, like here, Neha's name doesn't have any information. That's because Neha, your form did not come through. So I'd request you to just add these 3-4 data points. What is your favorite book? Links to any previous published work, sharing a bit about yourself. And also, we don't have the Twitter and Instagram handle for all people. If you would like to share that information, please, by all means, add that data here. And that'll be something that will be available to everyone. So what we hope is that since you know something more about the various other participants, so you could look at let's say and you also have some information here, so you can look at Nandini's profile and you see that she's a big fan of I'm in the Big Home by Jerry Pinto or Beloved by Toni Morrison, and what she does. And you can also see if there is a sample of her work that she's shared, which she hasn't, but if there had been, you could have looked at that. In addition to that, you can look at her profile. I'm just going up to N here. So she's writing literary fiction. So now you've got an idea. She's in Ghaziabad, which means she's in the NCR. So you've got an idea of, Nandini as a writer. And so based on that, you can reach out to her if you think that, maybe it'll be good to buddy up with her. Or if there's a bunch of people who want to form a group of literary fiction, then you can, which goes across borders, then you could find like-minded people. So you can basically, find like-minded writers on the basis of genre, on the basis of what people like, on the basis of location, and all that information is available to all of you here. So that's so we are hoping that you'll find each other and you'll kind of create your own communities and help each other as writers and in these even subgroups within the FDC, because FDC will grow further. We are at about 42 now, but typically we do hit 65, 70. Sometimes we go more than that. So that's it, broadly speaking. Do you have any questions, any clarifications that you guys want? Yes, Ashwini ji, boli.
Can I just suggested this earlier that if we had everybody's numbers then, the people you want to group with, you could approach them, because right now there's no way except putting it out on the group and wasting everybody else's attention span.
Right. So, okay. So is everybody here comfortable with having their number or their email address shared? I would imagine that number, maybe not, but in email address, we could add to the second sheet. So if somebody wants to reach out to someone else, Satyapriya is saying thumbs up. Just, okay. So email is better than sharing phone numbers. Yeah, that's what I'm seeing. Okay, all right. So we'll go ahead with that then. We'll add in the second sheet. I will add that today. I'll add the email addresses for everybody, so that then people will be able to. Yeah, everybody's saying email only, please. Sabina has said. So that's fair. So we'll add the email address. So Ashwini, that's a good suggestion, and thank you. And that will also allow people to then reach out to each other instead of doing it on the group. So I agree. Fair enough.
Thank you, Chetan. Thank you.
Sure, definitely. There are two more people here. Hang on. Any other questions? Anything else that you'd like to ask?
Chetan,
Yes.
I had a suggestion.
Sure.
Because when I was deciding my word count, I write poems, they vary in length.
Yeah.
I don't know what I typed actually. I think I typed a very high number. So for people who write blogs or people who write poems, there was no other option. I tried to put alphanumeric, but the field didn't take it. So, for example, I want to do, let's say, 30 poems a month.
Right.
So for people who write poetry or who write blog, maybe you could change the tracker and it could be finished work. A word count could work for a novel, but for a poem, it's a little funny.
Fair enough. It's just that it becomes very hard for us to manage. See, Shorvani, I really want to take a step back here. Nobody is policing you on your target. The target is really for yourself, right? So, but it'll become very, very hard for us to have a proxy target for 30 pieces of poetry, right? So even if you say, I think you put 3,000, I just checked. So if you put 3,000, that means 30 poems of 100 words each. You know, let that be a proxy. I mean, there's really no carrot and there is no stick. It's really about setting yourself a goal, and the tracker can act as an external conscience. So I wouldn't worry too much about is it accurate and will I underachieve or overachieve. It's more to just keep you in the discipline of coming back to your work and remembering that there's this thing happening, and the weekly sessions are good reminders, and usually very talented people who are able to help you think through a lot of things. But trying to customize it by genre, for poetry or for blog will then make it too cumbersome for us to manage, honestly. The good thing about words is that you can just total them up and it's very easy. So,
Okay.
But thank you. Yeah. Anything else? Anyone else? Am I missing something?
Hey, this is Surendra.
Yes, Surendra.
I had a quick question.
Please.
Just based on your past years' experience, when you say getting buddies together, does it mean they come together and write the same story, help each other in writing, or they keep writing separately and just talk to each other and bounce ideas?
So there is a beautiful blog post written by our two most successful writing buddies. They are Ram and Shalini. Ram is a CA. Shalini is a doctor. They've never met. But because of having buddied up, Shalini published her book. She started with FDC 1. I think she published by the time we hit FDC 7. So, so it was not a physical, they were not even in the same city. They've still not met, from what I understand. I met Shalini recently for the first time because she's been like clockwork on the FDCs. So the answer is no, it's not a physical thing. It's not necessarily that you have to be in the same city or that you're sitting and doing, writing sessions together. You could be apart, you could be in different places, but you have to find something common as writers. And if you find that commonality, that common ground as writers, they were very particular with each other about, checking in with each other. Sometimes somebody's drooping. Shalini was a doctor, and this was all through COVID that, FDC was happening. We started in November of 2020. So, you just become each other's support. And they've jointly written a very beautiful blog post about writing buddies. It's on the blog. I will share it with the whole group. I'll share it with the FDC 10 group after this session. So maybe that will give you some ideas on, how to go about. And that time we didn't even have this elaborate we didn't share so much information. People just kind of figured out who each other was from the WhatsApp conversations and, from what people were saying. And then we went from there. So yeah, but I'll share that blog. And then, how it works out is really a very personal thing.
Sure, thanks.
Sure. There's no further questions. I have a couple of pieces of, suggestions, wisdom from previous FDCs that I would like to share. So, the first is, how do you make sure you get the most out of an FDC? It's good to have a project and, all your groundwork done so you can start writing on December 1st. It's like, you have to run, or you have to run a something which is like running 10 kilometers a day or something else. So you don't want to hit the first day when you can't walk 5 kilometers. So you already want to be at a certain place. And from a story or from a writing perspective, the parallel would be that if you've thought through, what you want to write, you've got maybe a plot outline, you've got characters in your mind, you've done some research, you still have time to do some of that. Try and get everything in place so that when you start writing, you don't start grappling for, oh, I want to write about X, but I don't have this, or I want to do something else, but I want to write, but I'm not really sure about my plot. So, and even if you're not sure about your plot, but try and do as much groundwork and preparation. Try and have a structure or a layout or a plan of some sort in place, so that then you are more like, you have a skeletal structure and you are fleshing it out, rather than saying I have nothing and I'm just going to, wander around in my writing. So that's one thing that definitely works for a lot of people. The one suggestion that Ram had given, Ram was one of the two guys who had buddied up, and he's been a real asset to FDC over the many 2 years now. He would say that before he goes to bed, and I've done this a few times myself, before you go to bed, when you're like the last 10 minutes, think about what you want to write, right? So if you spend, especially if you're a morning writer, it helps a lot, because if you, let's say before I go to sleep, I say that I'm going to write chapter 5 of my book, and in chapter 5, this is the scene that I'm going to think about, or this is what I want to be developing, in the next day's writing. That's forward planning. Then it kind of goes into your subconscious, and when you're sleeping also. So whenever you get up, and if you're starting to write first thing in the morning, it really helps, because it's already been at work in your mind, through the night, sort of. So you wake up and you don't wake up and wonder, what do I do now? You wake up and you already have some momentum or some kind of direction in which you want to go with your writing. There will be some word prompts that we'll provide. The word prompts are again drawn in from the same community. Last time, I think I made a mistake, because we started the word prompts on the first day. This time we'll start the word prompts around the 7th or the 8th day. There's a reason for that. From what we have seen is that people are high energy, and there's usually a lot of momentum and enthusiasm in the first week. But by about day 7, day 8, it starts to flag. The fatigue starts to set in. It starts to slow down a little bit. So getting an external trigger of a nice word prompt around the 7th or 8th day is usually a nice support for everybody who's in the group. So so if you see the word prompt, the purpose or the utilization of the word prompt is more to, it's like a trigger, it's like a fire starter, like a match. It's not meant to be the whole writing itself. So usually the word prompt will come with a small word limit of maybe 200, 250, 300 words, something like that, right? Much less than what a lot of people's target might be. So treat the word prompt as exactly that. It's just an excuse for you to sit down and start writing. It gives you something with which to write if you're struggling with that. The word prompt is not a requirement. It's perfectly fine if you want to completely ignore the word prompt. It's only made available to you so that if somebody wants some support, somebody feels like they're stuck somewhere, it'll help you kind of climb out of that hole and be able to, get your writing going again. Ram has a lot of stats about, high targets, low targets. I'm not getting into all of that right now. Your target is what it is. The discipline, it's good if you have a target, it's good to think about a daily number. So if your target is 50,000 words, that daily number will be 1,700 words. If your target, like Shorbani was just saying, is a poem a day, then your target is a poem a day. But breaking it down to a daily number is nice, and keeping some buffers is good because you'll have a bad day or two. So, round it up instead of rounding it down, and give yourself a little room for some play. And hopefully that will help you. Can't really think of much else. Chetan is saying, is this FDC group that we were added to is only FDC 10 or previous members will also be there? It will be nice if we could connect with all the members. Satyapriya has asked this question. Satyapriya, so there are a lot of, I can see faces. Ashwini has been in the FDC before. I think Nandini and Suhani have been in the FDC before. Renu has been in the FDC before. So a lot of people here are people. Ashisha has been in the FDC earlier. So a lot of the people here have been in the previous FDCs. So some of those people, we have repeat offenders and then we have junkies. The junkies are missing this time, but we have a lot of repeat offenders. So you'll find a lot of the, wisdom coming through from previous participants. But we don't have, it's not open. It's not like you sign up for one FDC and you signed up for all of them, because then the Chirag school would not get the money that we wanted to get. So we just selfish that way. But yeah, you have to sign up for each one individually, but a lot of people do come back. So you'll find lots of people here who've been in previous FDCs. And if you have specific answers or questions, you can put them in the WhatsApp group. Trust me, you'll get more answers than you would have bargained for. Any tips for nervous starters? Well, the nice thing about writing is that you're never on stage until you put your work out there. So you don't have to worry so much about starting. I don't know if you have something more specific you want to come on and ask the question. That's fine. Arun?
No, Chetan, nothing specific, because often you try to take a goal you want to write, but as you rightly mentioned out, you have to think about a plot. For me, there are 3-4 ideas that are doing a lot of round. So if I have to zero in into something and then start writing by December 1st, so it is a task. So that is why.
Yeah, well, you have 3 days.
Yeah, 3 days. Yes.
No, but okay, honestly. So see, what you choose to write is really a very personal call. I can't, I don't know how I can help you with that. The one standard reason that, and I'm sorry to all the participants because you've heard this a number of times, but the one standard reason why people are always nervous about, writing or unhappy with their writing, or, don't write as much as they would like to write is because they judge themselves too early, right? So I always ask people in my workshops, who are you writing for? And, somebody says, there's various answers, but who are you trying to impress with your writing? And to me, the answer is that whoever is your favorite author, you're usually trying to impress that person, right? So if you're a big fan of George Orwell, there's a little George Orwell sitting on your shoulder and telling you everything that is there is crap. So you have to get rid of the inner critic. I think that's what makes you nervous, because why would you be nervous if you weren't in a big hurry to judge yourself? You're judging yourself too early, so you'll end up becoming nervous. But the reason why we call this the first draft club is because first drafts are not going to be perfect. They are expected to be tacky. They're expected to be all over the place and, malformed and just not right. But they still have to be written, because once you have a first draft, then you can edit something. So, so give yourself the permission to write stuff which you think is substandard. Don't, throw it away every day, but keep whatever you've written, even if you think it's not great, it's something, right? And then go forward from there. That would really be my suggestion. And on choosing your subject, or choosing which one you want to pursue, I mean, the first one is pick something that you won't get sued for. The second is pick something that's close to your heart. Pick something that you care deeply about, because that is something that is also the most scary usually, but it's also the most rewarding. So if of these 3-4 things there is, something that matters to you as a person, I think it'll mean more to get something done on that front than choose that particular project. I don't know if that helps or if that's relevant.
No, it helped. It helped. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Great. All right. Any other questions? The link to the buddy blog was included in your mail. Thank you. So Ashwini is saying the link to the buddy blog. Not a Freudian slip there. All right. Anything else? Anyone else? This is not meant to be an hour long. We can finish up the moment questions are done. Yes, Sagar, please.
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Well, maybe any other success stories that have emerged out of all these workshops. I heard about that collaboration on a novel. I've read that blog as well. It's really well done. Anything else?
Yeah. So from the workshops, we've had lots of stuff that has come out. A lot of people who we've had about 39 books published, and we've had, I don't know, 8-10 awards that have come out from people. But those are from the workshops. How much the FDC contributes to FDC is not limited to participants. FDC is open to anyone who wants to write. So from the FDC, Shalini's story is definitely one success story. Ashisha is a published author, but Ashisha's book was written before the FDCs that she attended last year. I don't know if there's any other published authors here, or if anybody has a particular story you want to share. Kanwal said that he's done 30,000, or he's shooting for 30,000 words in NaNoWriMo, and another 30,000 in FDC. So between November and December, his first draft is done. And since he's already done 30 in, I think 26 now, how many?
Yeah, 25 something. And I'm good. I'll be able to reach 30 by another 4 days.
Perfect.
And if I can just speak one sentence here.
Sure, please.
Published, apart from the published authors, what Chetan mentioned. Firstly, I did beta reading. I mean, that's another aspect, that once you're somewhere there, you need somebody to beta read your draft. So that is another help that FDC provides, amongst people.
Right.
And apart from that, there's a lot of add-on information that at least I have gained tremendously, as far as the craft of writing is concerned.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So I wasn't asking what. Thank you for that. I wasn't asking about published authors for any other reason, except it's nice to know that there's a few published folks in the midst. But there's a lot of talented and highly capable people. And if Rajiv, for example, were to actually finish, 60,000 words of his manuscript, out of which half are done in FDC, I think that's an achievement, man. That's a big achievement in its own right. So, yeah.
And Chetan, ask you and based on your experience, what are great attributes to have as a buddy, so that we can, each other can encourage, goad them along?
So I think it's good to have at least a common genre. I mean, if your buddy is writing poetry and you're writing nonfiction, I don't know if you'll help each other as much as if you're both writing the same thing. If you can find a buddy in the same city, maybe it'll be a factor, but in today's age, that may be overrated. I think it's also just chemistry. So I don't know how to measure that, but if you read the blog post, the Ram and Shalini's chemistry, it's visible even if they're just on a Zoom session. They've become great friends, and they're just writing buddies, and it works really well. So what I think will happen is, as you see the WhatsApp group starting to come to life, and some information starts to flow, maybe some of the writing prompts come in, and you see other people's writing, or you go and explore the sheet. You will find affinity. You will find that, maybe this, or you'll find 2 or 3 people with whom you'll gel. If your favorite author is Arundhati Roy and somebody else's favorite author is, Ken Follett or Jeffrey Archer, not that those are watertight. But there's, one is very literary, the other is more, more fast-paced storytelling. So you'll just tell from their likes, dislikes, and if there's a writing sample, you can see that. It'll give you some ideas. Yeah.
And some good buddy habits I picked up, following up on each other's, maybe daily put that. That's really good. Anything else?
I would think that, it's probably best done on a mutual basis. Some
Okay.
people might find a daily follow-up too
Great.
intrusive. Others might find
Yeah.
that, it really
Right.
works. Actually getting together for an online writing session is a great idea. Even if one person has Google Meet, you don't even have to have a Zoom subscription because that's that 45-minute limit. But even if it's Google Meet, but if you say, okay, we're just going to get together and write, even if it's virtual for an hour every day, or 4 days a week or whatever, then sometimes it's just about knowing that I'm not writing alone. You're writing your own thing and the other person's writing their own thing, but knowing that you're not writing alone, even that can be a great tool to use in a buddying thing. And also getting feedback, because although in the first draft I wouldn't hurry into the feedback piece, but as and when you're ready, or you think that you have something close to finished, because one thing I'm always telling people is, don't get feedback on something half-baked, because then people will react to all the wrong things, right? You have to have it final from your perspective before you ask for feedback. But getting a buddy to give you feedback, or just having a conversation about, this is what I'm writing and this is where I'm stuck. So any of those things can be a great way to, ways to work together with a buddy. Everything that I've talked about. Sabina has a question. What would you recommend for someone who's doing this for the first time? I just say, don't be afraid. It's a bunch of tools that are available to you. Some might work for you, some might not work for you. Just explore, try things out, reach out, be candid. And as long as you're not, spamming or just generally messing with people's heads, everything else is game. So yeah, go ahead. There's already some text in the tracker cells. Should I delete that? Yes, thank you. If there is, I'm sorry, that's a mistake, but there shouldn't be anything. The tracker cells should all be blank right now. They would start getting filled up only in December, from the 1st of December. And yes, please try and be religious about your tracker. Even if you've written nothing, write a 0, because that'll come back to haunt you the next day, and maybe you'll write a little bit more. So yeah. Cool. Good. 5:37. Looks like we're done. Somebody's joined just now. I do have a recording of this. I will be sharing the recording in the group, or maybe not in the group, but we'll make the recording available. So if somebody wants to have this discussion or wants to review some of these points, that's always there. We are still open. Registrations are still going on. In fact, 3 people signed up today. 1 person signed up just now, and they're saying, let me into the group. So it goes on actually even past the 1st of December. In the past, we've seen that people are signing up all the way till the 4th or the 5th. So this recording comes in handy. But if you know of people who you think will be benefiting from, participating in the FDC, or you think can get something out of joining this forum, let them know. Did you have a question, Vinod?
Yeah, actually, Chetan, I don't know. Can you hear me? I've got a bad throat. I think
I can hear you loud and clear. Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know if the question is within the scope of this meeting, but I wanted to know a bit more about the HWR bestseller list that you have on your site. Is it something that we can?
I can tell you what it is very briefly. So Nielsen is the company that measures best-selling books across the world, and we buy the data from Nielsen, so we don't measure it ourselves. And it's Nielsen's list that we buy, and we publish it on our website. We are the only public forum where that data is published. So that's where it's at.
Yeah, I read your press release about it, and you had mentioned that you'd be sharing the top 50, but I see the top 20 only. So
yeah,
was there a change?
we might even do away with the thing altogether, because it's a lot of expense for us. We're like literally a 3-person company. Yeah. And I don't know if it really is worth it for us. So yeah, we had started with 50, it went down to 20, and it may go down to 0. So it may vanish altogether. And what I'm hoping to do is to replace it with something more useful. So, but we don't know what that is yet. We're still working on it. So as and when something comes up, I'll let you know. Yeah. But I mean, it's not really germane, honestly, to the FTC. You should write without worrying about whether or not you'll ever make it to that list.
Okay.
That's too much pressure.
Yeah, I've already published a book, so that's what. Okay. So it's doing well. Yeah.
All right, folks. So some people really like to do introductions, but it gets a little ungainly and overwhelming to try and introduce everybody. So I would request everyone to add your introduction to the work sample sheet in the tracker, and people will go and look up, because everybody is looking for like-minded people. So put an introduction out there, put a link to your books or your work or your blog or whatever you have out there, and people will reach out, and hopefully you'll find other folks. We even have a faculty member here. Hi, Chitra. So Chitra is actually teaching a course on B2B content writing for us in the month of January. So yeah, it's great to have you.
Thank you.
Cool. If there's no further questions, we'll call it a day, and we'll meet next week at 5 o'clock with Namrata and Ganesh. All right.
Thank you.
All right, folks. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All the best. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thanks.